How y'all doing on this beautiful Sunday? I'm here to make this video to share my testimony, man. I've been nervous. I've been thinking about this all day. Something was on my heart, tugging my heart to make this video. I was at work and I was just thinking a lot when I'm at work, and because I'm in my own space, I think a lot when I talk to myself like out loud. I just talk about things that I'm going through and stuff like that, and it doesn't even, I don't know how it transpires. I just think about something, I start talking out of, I talk my way through it and stuff like that. It's just, I guess, my way of coping and just having an outlet, you know, because I'm not a vulnerable person, so this is difficult for me to be vulnerable. So, but I have been talking to my friend, or my accountability partner, one of my closest friends, one of my brothers, about walking in your testimony and how we should use our testimony to bring people closer to God and just show God's grace. And I just really wanted to do that because in these times that we're living in, it's kind of hard to see God's light. I can see in these pandemic and just things and such with how the culture climate, what's going on with the racism and all this other stuff. It's just a hard time, and and God's love and grace could get distorted in all these other things that's happening, the manly things that's happening in this world, not the heavenly things. So I just wanted to speak on something that's been, you know, has been bothering me and that's I've been dealing with, and I think that a lot of people could relate to. So it's basically off the premises of we all probably have been in a time where we've asked God for something, some type of healing from either past trauma, some situations that we're in, and we just really want some understanding and love and healing, and we ask God for it, and sometimes we feel like we don't get it in the way we want it, or we don't have that type of gratification or that satisfaction or whatever the case may be to fill that void of our emptiness or our trauma that we're seeking, that God doesn't give us. And I think that God really wants us to look through that root source. You know, what was that root source for this trauma, or with the situation you're dealing with, whether it's generational curses, sexual ties, if it's just something that you're dealing with where it's bondage. We ask for that, you know, to God to relieve us from that, but sometimes we don't get it the way we want, at the manner we want, so then we can fall victim to from literally not believing in God, walking in the devil's plan, and you not walking in your purpose. I mean, it's easy. I've done it for a long time, and I feel like I've just got actively back into following that, you know, God's plan, because the devil had me, you know, he had me. And I think the way the devil, you know, has a hold to our heart and our walk is by holding us to our past trauma, and that's what we need to uproot this. So I know if you guys seen Pastor Michael Todd, he has like series, and he has like things where he talks about in the I guess the category, or the, you know, the umbrella of the sermon, or the would be like a word that describes it, and I think it's like uprooting, you know. So I would just say uproot, you know, uprooting past traumas. And I just really think that a lot of people fall victim to that, you know. That's where suicide comes, you know, and things like that, because you can never uproot what's, you know, causing these anxiety, depression, you know, things like that, these suicidal thoughts. And I'm just gonna elaborate on why I think it's important to uproot those things. So I'm just gonna give you a background. This is hard for me, you know. I don't think I will get emotional, but if I do, I apologize. You know, it's just a sensitive thing I've never really talked to anyone about. So basically, my upbringing, some people know, I have a close family household. Me, my brother, my sister, and my mom. That was my upbringing. You know, as a single mom, she was, you know, struggling to, you know, make ends meet, and she was doing the best she could. Don't get me wrong. Like everything we ever been through together, me, my brother and sister, I'm grateful for it, because it's made me the man who I am today. Like it put something inside of me that I would never ever want to be gone. Like I don't take it for granted. I'm grateful for the things we went through, because I mean, we didn't have it as worse as some people, but we, you know, it made us stronger, and it made my mom was the closest thing for me to see God's love and just loving people, because she loved us so much. She would make things happen that it seemed like it was impossible. And I'm like, if it was no other person but God who made that possible, because it was, you know, it was situations where I just didn't see a way out of it. You know, I'm pretty sure my mom didn't see a way out of it, but God show his light through her, and he touched her, and he led us through this. But so yeah, it was just me, my brother, and my sister. My brother and sister has the same dad. I don't have a share. We don't share the same dad. So my brother and sister's dad was not actively in their life. Well, he was in their lives, but he wasn't like present, like in the household. My dad wasn't in my life at all when I was younger. So it added to a lot of trauma, man. A lot of trauma for me when I was younger. I was really mad. I was depressed. I was sad. I was really angry. I was just an angry kid. I had anger management problems. I used to get in trouble in school a lot, you know, because I wanted attention. It wasn't the lack of attention I was getting at home, but like I said, my mom was a single parent mom. You know, she was working a lot, and my brother was looking over, you know, me and my sister. So, you know, that older brother love isn't the same as that mom's love. And she was giving me love, but she just wasn't there. Like, she had to make ends meet. And I don't fault her for it. I mean, she did the best she could, and she made us into great, you know, great children and young men and young women. So my mom is, man, she's amazing, man. I would be no one without her, honestly. So, you know, that's not a dig to my mom at all, and I love her, and I know she'll probably watch this and probably cry. But yeah, so when I was younger, man, I went through a lot, man. I used to get in trouble in school a lot, and I was acting out of attention, you know what I mean? So I would get in trouble at school, you know, but I would get attention from the teacher. You know, the attention was centered around me because I was a troubled kid, you know. So it was any kind of attention you get at that young age is good attention, you know what I mean? So when I would get home, you know, I would get disciplined for that attention, you know, for getting in trouble in school, which I deserve. You know, I was a delinquent kid. Like, I did a lot of bad stuff when I was a kid out of, you know, the anger and just not understanding why I was in love. I felt like I wasn't loved. So a lot of times when I used to get disciplined, and it wasn't like my mom was beating on us or anything like that, but it was just like that, you know, I wanted the love from my mom, and I didn't get the reaction that I wanted because I was acting out of attention, trying to get attention in a negative way. So my mom, you know, was trying to direct me, and I'm glad she did the things that she did and discipline me, because if not, man, I don't know where I would be. I was really, I'm not lying, like, I was really a bad kid. Like, I just always was in trouble, always was, you know, doing things. Anyway, I'm trying to make this brief, I'm sorry, but so yeah, when I used to get in trouble with my mom, you know, at a young age, I'm talking about, this was probably when I was like from the 1st to 4th grade, you know, I would get in trouble, and I would actively try to commit suicide, you know, and God willing, how lovely he is, man, his love was just amazing. You know, at that young age, I would just like choke myself, you know. After I got in trouble, I was smothering myself with a pillow. There's been a few times where I went to the bathroom, you know, and I had tied a belt around my neck and was just figuring out ways to just kill myself. But I mean, I just couldn't do it because I didn't have the capacity to, you know, go through it. And that was God's grace, honestly. Because there was many times that, you know, I thought about committing suicide, you know, when I was younger, and at that age, that's damaging, you know, for a kid. And I was angry. Like, I used to always fight my brothers and sisters, and like, I was so defensive and I was so angry. I would pull out knives, and I've never stabbed or anything, but it was just the fact that was my defense mechanism, because I felt like I wasn't getting loved, because, you know, I was getting in trouble at school, and my mom was trying to love me, but she needed to discipline me to, you know, so I could be on the right path, and I would get in trouble with my brother and sister. So I just felt like I wasn't loved in any, you know, facet of my life. So, you know, I was defensive. Like, I didn't care. Like, that was the way, like, when people were attacking me, I was like, I'm going to defend myself. And I never fully healed from that, you know. I just kind of, as time progressed, I kind of got into sports, and I kind of channeled that anger into positive things, but I never healed, you know. So recently, over this quarantine, you know, I just saw myself getting angry a lot. Like, I was angry. I was getting kind of depressed, and I was just, and like, anxiety was lifting and stuff like that. And I'm an advocate that, you know, that stuff doesn't exist when God is on your side. He will relieve that. So I was like, man, he has a hold of me, and I need to get away. So I was reflecting, you know. I called one of my accountability partners, you know, Jay, and I was just talking to him about it. And he's like, man, you got to uproot those things within, because I was just expressing to him, I was venting to him, like, man, look, man, when I was younger, I used to be really angry as a kid, and I see flashes of that now, and I don't like it because it scared me, because when I was younger, it brings me back to those suicidal thoughts, and it brings me back to that pain and that trauma that I faced when I was younger. So it was hard for me to understand and try to maneuver through this situation, you know. And it was scary for me, because I didn't want, because like, now I'm older, you know, those thoughts of me, committing suicide when I was younger, I have the capacity to do it now. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to even think about that. I have the opportunity and the education to do that, which is sad, but I could do that. So I was fearful, man. And it wasn't like I just knew I was gonna commit suicide. Or I wanted to commit suicide. I didn't even want to be in that headspace again because it was so scary for me. But I was like, man, how could I even remember all this past trauma after 15 years, 14, 15 years past that? I thought I got through it. I thought I had mastered that. But I'm like, man, this is how the devil has a hold of me, because the devil allows us. The devil lives in complacency. So when you feel like you have done this thing and you feel like, okay, I'm good now, like I overcame anger management issues, or I've done this, so I'm good now, I don't have to worry about it no more. No, I just found a way to just throw some, what people say. I don't remember the phrase, but people just like, when you throw just sugar on something to make it look like, excuse my language, when they say you just throw sugar on shit to make it look good. That's kind of how I was. I was just throwing sugar on surface level things to make it seem like I was good. But when I was in school, I was battling hard with track and failure. I just felt like I was failing. I was struggling mentally. I felt like I wanted to give out. I wanted to quit school so many times. I was really going through it, but it was because I didn't have that support system before. I was away from my family, my brother, my sister, my mom was all I had, so those were, even when I was having bad days in high school and I was, really angry and stuff, when I saw them, it relieved that, so when I went to school on my own, I had to figure out my way on my own, to cope with these things. And God's grace, I didn't fall, into addiction or anything, like finding different ways to cope with these things without taking drugs or anything like that. But I just kind of just sheltered it in, and it's been situations where I had to call my brother, when I was so mad, I only seen red, and I was scared. Like, I had to call him, and I was just telling him, like, just talk to me, bro. Like, I'm just scared. And they've been around me when I was younger, when I had that capability, when I was mad, but they never probably seen it when I got older. But it was just, when you think about, when I reflect and I think about how my life could have been ended at, 7 years old, for me, that past trauma of just, wanting to end your life, like I was so deep, that I wanted to die. I didn't see any love, God's love, and I was too young to even know what God's love was, and I just wanted to die. I wanted to escape that pain of that feeling of emptiness, And I think we need to really focus on that, focus on really digging deep into what is that root cause, what is that, and it might be something that's serious, like, when your sexual impurities and stuff like that, like, when did you get, exposed to those sexual desires, or, things like that, when, if your older parents or your older siblings had watched pornography, and now that's in your head, so now you can't think of anything else but sex, and now you're mistreating women and stuff like that, because all you think about them is sex. Or it could be, something, somebody could have done something to you, or something like that, or just, that pain and trauma. We can't take that upon ourselves. We need to ask for God's grace and God's healing. That's the only way we could suffice, and we can get healed. And I think that's really important as Christians and as non-believers to even believe in a God, because you can't do it on your own. Our mental capacity is not meant to take on all that trauma. God died on the cross to take all of our sins, all our trauma, all our guilt, all our worry, everything, anxiety, depression. He took on that. He died for that. So we need to call on him, and I think we don't do that enough. I think society, especially for men, we are known to take on things because we're supposed to be this hard man. We're supposed to endure hardships, and we're supposed to do it on our own. We're not supposed to call out for help. But the biggest hope and the only hope that's going to help you out of these situations is God. God is the healer. Jesus is the healer, and we need to call on him. And actively now, I'm trying to figure out ways, to call on him. When I feel angry, I've been actively finding ways to focus my anger and just put me in situations where I won't be angry, where I just stop and think about how good God is and how far he's brought me out of these dark places. I lived 14 years after these suicidal thoughts, and these suicidal actions, and so it was only his grace, and I had to understand that that the only way I'm still alive is because of God. The only reason I'm progressing is because of God. So I just think, and I just told you guys this, just so you could really reflect on things like, man, just take a time in this, because this corona thing isn't over with, so we still have some time to quarantine or just some time alone because we need to social distance, man, take some time, just talk to God and ask God and just think about, man, what was it that brought me to this place? What brought me to this place? Like, what experience, what trauma brought me to this place of self like of hopelessness, of pain, of trauma, of suffering? What brought me to this place? And when you can identify what brought you to that place, you can now talk to God like, hey God, this is where it happened. So now you got a starting place. Like, okay, this is where it happens. Now let me uproot this now. So now the devil can he can detach himself from you, so he's not holding you bondage anymore, because now you understand this is what had happened to me. The devil stepped in at this place where I should have been following God's place. And the only way I'm going to get out of the devil's heart is by calling on God, asking for God, putting my hand out. God is going to grab you, and he's going to ask you to work on it, and he's going to help you, and he's going to bring you out of these suffering. And it could be anything, man. I don't think bondage isn't specific to a certain type of trauma. It could be anything, like anything you're dealing with. It don't even have to be a trauma. If you're just dealing with something that you want to better yourself in with God of cussing, ask yourself, like, when does it start cussing? Who is my role model of cussing? And who do I need to separate myself apart from if I want to change this? So yeah, man, I just came here to just tell y'all, man, really uproot, and try to uproot these things, and try to you need to call on to God to help you out of these trauma. Because I tell you, if God, I didn't even call out for God, but God was still grace. He showed his grace and to help me out of that situation when I was younger. And he's doing that for you too. Even if you feel like God isn't listening, if you're still alive, he still has a hold on you. He still is working in your favor. Now it's your time to do your part and go try to look for those things to uproot that past and that trauma, so you can live free in God's love. You can understand God's love and grace, and you can share it to someone else. You can share your testimony to someone else. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you for listening. If you want to share whatever you do with this, I just really think that God wanted me to speak on this. I'm sorry for the length of it. I couldn't really keep it condensed. God was just speaking through me, and I'm gonna hopefully continue things like this, continue sharing my testimonies, and get deeper into other things that I'm dealing with. But this is just a stepping stone for God, and for me to be a good, obedient follower of God, and to walk in my calling. So thank you for listening. I love you guys. Have a blessed day, and have a blessed life, and just keep calling on Jesus and following him. Thank you.